welcome back to the Blowhorn Fans Cast. I'm Don.
And I am Brett.
It's nice to hear from you all again. But yeah, today we've got a lot on the docket, mostly talking about Olympics, as you know, only comes around every 4 years, the winter variety.
And every 2 years for the other variety after the winter variety.
Yeah, the more appealing variety
to
most people.
I feel like it's more appealing because there's more sports and also...
I think people also just like...
The Americans do better.
America does better, and I think that people understand the sports a lot more.
That's very true.
A lot of people do track and field in high school, you know?
Yeah, whereas sports. Not everybody... I heard, I don't remember the name, the one where they're skiing and they launch themselves up into the sky, you know, and then
ski jump?
Is that what it's called, just a ski jump? And people get confused because the wind can actually factor into the score, so it's not just distance, it's the wind, all these other variables. Same with figure skating, which I've learned a little too much about, because that's what's been on after 9 p.m. this time. But the skeleton does still terrify me.
Yeah, and Britt's pissed about that.
Yeah, we'll get into why they're pissed in a bit. You're going to have to tell me because I don't know why.
Okay.
We'll need to learn about that. But we should probably start off with MLB news.
Woo, lockout update. Crack the champagne.
Would you say it's good news, bad news, or just news? I'd say it's just news because
it's just news.
Progress, but it's not enough progress.
It's not
to
actual real progress. Anyway.
It's like a checklist of 100 items, and we checked off 2, so it's progress, but it really means nothing.
Right.
Yeah. So one of the things, actually, I need to say this first. Manfred equals dick. I wrote that down, so I feel like that really sums up what we're going to say.
A horrible person.
With the first starting is. Spring training is officially delayed because of what we learned. The universal DH has been approved. That was one on the list that has been checked off.
And we've got one lone gentleman protesting outside of Dodger Stadium.
Hey, the whole idea of having a pitcher in there is kind of cool because there's only one time that a pitcher can hit a home run, and that will forever be engraved in memory of the last pitcher who batted. He got a home run, so... I say that's a good record to end on.
Yeah, 29 teams are not going to be running pitchers in their lineups next year.
Yes, which will be a little bit of a twist, but it's not like it's going to destroy the league.
No. It just means that, I mean, God, funny enough, even though that guy's protesting outside Dodger Stadium, Dodgers might be the team that benefits the most from this. Their pitchers hit like 110 last year. Getting even just a competent bat to replace that.
Truth be told, like, I feel as though not a single pitcher, like, they luck out, but I feel like that's the average pitchers usually get, is like below 200.
Yeah, they're significantly worse than anyone else.
So,
interestingly enough, I actually saw this graph a few days ago. The next worst batting group for any position, like on average, over the last, I think, 40 years, shortstop. Shortstop.
Why?
I don't know.
That's a really weird statistic that just works.
Yeah, it's pitchers way at the bottom. Then
well,
it's
of course.
Shortstops, catchers, and then everyone else is kind of just mixed together.
Yeah, scatter plot right there. The other thing that got accepted is the minimum salary for players. And there's a bunch of different numbers in there.
Yeah, they have 2 separate proposals for increasing it, but the general consensus is it's going to go up.
Yes, it'll probably get changed occasionally, but it sounds like they're agreeing on a certain point. There are still a lot of things that has to do with money that they haven't agreed on.
Yeah, basically when it comes to the new minimum wage, essentially, for them.
Quote-unquote minimum wage.
Yeah, it's not, you know what I mean, though.
Yes.
Basically, the one offer that the MLB has would have the minimum would go up from $615 to $630.
Yep.
And then for pre-arbitration players, that cap would go up to $700. Well, it would stay at $700, right?
Yep. All right.
Or they can keep the bottom at $615, but your top will top end at $725.
So a little bit of changes possibly coming, but consensus, it will go up.
It'll go up $15,000 to $25,000,
which isn't overall too much, but it's a good amount.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad. Plenty of stuff though that is just very sad to see with the MLB's proposal today. So we talked about this on the podcast earlier, a couple episodes ago, about the idea of using WAR as a statistic to measure the top 30 players and all of that. The league, still not even close to what the players want. The players want that pool to be $105 million for the top 30 players by WAR. The league has gone up, Brett. They've gone up. They've come up from 10 million to 15 million.
Ooh, big move.
We're still way off on there.
Probably in about a year's time, they'll be close. Oh, wait, that means we miss a season.
Hey.
But, truth be told, from what Manfred has been saying recently, where he's like, the time of the actual season will start on time. On March 1st, I believe I said, right?
And that's what he's saying now.
And he also said that it would be detrimental to baseball if we do not start on time, which is true.
Yeah.
Do you think the closer we get to the beginning of the season, the more MLB will be willing to give up?
No.
You don't think so?
I think the players would be more likely to give up first.
Interesting.
But more importantly, with the ownership, I mean, I assume they need to get a majority of the owners behind it.
That's the reason why they've been meeting up
this last week. And a minority of the owners truly rely on baseball for their money.
Yes, this last week, the owners came together and had a meeting, and the very next day it was when Manfred talked and gave up these ideas. So I feel like as the owners meet more and more, they'll be able to give up more and more, but as we heard from today, they're not willing to give up on certain standings.
They're not even close. Like, they've gone up from their initial offer, but it's marginal increases. These aren't good. This isn't a good deal. Probably the only I would say the only significant thing that they've shown with this new proposal is the Kumar Rocker rule. Basically guaranteeing that you can't be screwed over by a team drafting you because of health reasons.
Oh, that's nice. It's like a health insurance.
Yeah, basically, the Mets drafted Kumar Rocker last year and just decided not to sign him due to health concerns after the draft, and so he just didn't get any money out of any of this.
Trash.
Whereas this new rule would make it so that if you put in a pre-draft physical with the league and a team picks you, they have to pay you at least 75% of what that draft pick normally gets.
All right. That'll be more fair.
Even if you fail a post-draft physical, which feels fair to everyone involved.
Yeah, there's no, whoops, well, too bad, shopping block. And
exactly.
Another thing that actually popped up that MLB probably should have made headline news is minor league baseball. They got hit too, where the MLB said that minor leaguers are not considered employees during spring training, so that they should not be paid during the entire time of spring training. You're practically working for free at that point, because you're still playing. You don't have a day job, so
you're become a grocery stocker.
You practically are working for the MLB for free, but the MLB's like, well, technically, due to these circumstances, they don't fall under any form of laws like the Labor Standards Act or the State Minimum Wage Act, which means we don't actually need to pay them. Which is just, what?
Just burn it down, start a new league.
New league? With what money?
Money from 30 guys who don't have an MLB team but want one. There's got to be at least 30 out there.
There is, but would they have enough money to make an MLB league?
Hey, I'm not saying they have to pay as well as the MLB out of the gate. If they can just put down a couple $100,000 salaries and play for a year while the MLB twiddles their thumbs, that'd light a fire.
Would it?
Yeah. Guarantee you, especially if you plucked the AAA and AA systems, so you still had pretty decent players going through. I mean, there's a reason why the USFL did pretty well in the 80s. I don't see any reason why an alternate baseball league couldn't do well. I mean, hell, I don't know if you saw, but ESPN has I believe ESPN's basically said that if there's no like regular season games going on, they'll probably end up airing AAA games, like other minor league baseball.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it for baseball. Other than, nobody likes Manfred, but...
Yeah, basically, the MLB's good deal was their old deal with minor increases to pretend like this was a hard-fought negotiation.
It's very slow.
It's horrible negotiating.
Yes, it is very slow. For what everybody heard last week with the mitigation, all good faith, quote unquote.
You don't even have to go like up to their numbers, but just give a real counter offer to the Players Association.
Be like if you were trying to sell me your TV for $500, I'm like, $5. Take it or leave it.
That's exactly what this is. Well, if we were being totally fair, it'd be like me asking you for $500 for the TV and you being like $50 or no deal. That's the equivalent of what we're talking about.
Yes,
it's really bad.
It's horrible. I wonder if they'd ever... it's February. It's February 12th when we're recording this. And catchers and pitchers were supposed to call in this coming week.
Yeah.
So...
That's all I say.
On other news...
Other sports news. College basketball. Shooty hoops.
Shooty hoops. I don't know much about basketball, Don. Please tell me about college basketball.
So we're coming up now on the NCAA tournament. It's in March. So Madness. We're deep into conference schedules. And as we get through these conference schedules, we'll set up conference tournaments, and that'll set up all of the seeding. And it's very exciting. Right now, I guess if you just wanted to highlight a few things from college basketball, broadly, nationally, to give you kind of a preview, give you a head start when we do these bracket challenges, so that we're just going to be ahead of the curve.
We need to show everybody our brackets.
Yes.
Who we pick.
Auburn, right now, is the number 1 ranked team in the country. They're 22-1 right now, and it's basically them and Gonzaga and everyone else.
Seems like Gonzaga's always up top. Or Duke.
Gonzaga and Duke have always been up there. I believe this is Coach K's last year at Duke. He's retiring after this year.
How long has he been there?
Like I said, I want to say he's been there 22 years or so.
Yeah, I told you that I know very little, so I just know that we do these brackets probably like the past few years. And I have always done horribly.
I think I finished like in the 90th percentile.
I think you did last year. Yeah,
it was actually really good. I was like, "Damn, dude, go me!" I'm way off, by the way. He's been there since 1980.
Oh my goodness!
So it's more like 40-ish years.
He had a long-standing career. I wonder how Duke will do afterwards.
It'll be interesting for sure.
Can't say they'll do bad.
It's very hard to fill a legend's shoes, though.
Yes, but also you have great players always going there, so you'll have the players, but the coach can also ruin it. But odds are, I feel like Duke is going to get a decent coach at least.
Hey, teams ebb and flow, though, when coaches leave. I mean, USC, they went from 3 straight national championships to mostly irrelevant to just kind of average over the next 10 years after their coach left.
Well, look at NDSU, though. They had 3 coaches since then, and they've been winning.
They've maintained it. You're right.
So
it just depends on the program.
Yeah. Will Duke get a good coach, or will the entire team just no longer show up when this coach leaves?
Yeah. I guess some other interesting tidbits to talk about regarding college basketball. One, you've got ESPN out here making their early bracketology, who they think's going to make it in and out and all that good stuff. If you're curious, San Francisco, a school that hasn't been to the NCAA tournament since we were alive, they're right now sitting in a pretty good spot to make the tournament this year. That'd be a great story for them, especially if a second-year coach, young team.
He's only second year? That's actually really good.
Yeah, it would be very cool to see them make it in. and personally, a school I really like for D1 sports, Michigan, they're sitting like just outside of the tournament. They'll probably need a good run in the Big Ten tournament to make it.
So pretty low odds.
Yeah, which is never great. Anyways, to focus down into the Summit League, which is a little more representative of the schools that we follow. UND's trash. They are abysmal this year, which that just sucks because I'm pretty sure they were not half bad the year before. I mean, they're 6-20 right now, and they've only won one game in the conference this year.
Wow, that's...
Yeah, I take it back. They were actually pretty mediocre last year. It must have been a couple years prior. But
I know a few years ago NDSU were in there, and we cheered them on.
NDSU, it's actually last year broke a streak. It had actually been 9 straight years where either NDSU or SDSU, South Dakota State, had made the NCAA tournament from our conference.
And now nobody?
The record scratch was last year NDSU was the best team in the conference, and they choked against Western Illinois.
Western Illinois. They got their first ever tournament appearance. Interesting.
Yeah, they were one and done.
You know, that happens.
It does. I mean, NDSU's only won 2 NCAA tournament games ever, so hardly a surprising thing, you know?
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah, and NDSU, they're good again this year. 18-8 overall, 10-4 in the conference. They're looking good. The problem is that I kind of hope they don't win the conference this year.
Why is that?
Because South Dakota State looks like they could actually make some noise if they make it. And they're not picking an at-large from the Summit League. I'm just letting you know now. The only Summit League team going is the one that wins the conference tournament. They're not picking an at-large out of here. But South Dakota State is 22-4 this year. And they are 13-0 in the conference. They haven't lost yet in conference play.
Which means
they've rattled off...
choke even harder.
It means they've rattled off 13 straight wins. They've beaten everyone in the conference. They haven't played even like a remotely close game in like 4 weeks. This is a team that genuinely hung with a currently 14th ranked Alabama for 3/4 of a game. I mean, late in the second half, yeah, they fell off and they ended up losing by 16, but this is a team that was hanging with them until maybe 9 minutes left to play, which is pretty damn impressive for a non-Power 5 school.
Yeah.
South Dakota State, I'm telling you, they make the tournament, they're going to get like a 12 or 13 seed, and they'll win their first game. That's my guarantee.
That's your guarantee?
That's my guarantee right now. If the Jackrabbits are in the tournament, they will win their opening game.
All right, that's a big guess. We'll see how that goes.
Certainly. Yeah, and then I suppose we get into... Do you want to talk Olympics, or do you want to talk NASCAR or hockey, or where do you want to go?
NASCAR and hockey. NASCAR's coming after the Super Bowl.
Yep, it'll be a week after.
They're revving their engines now, but nothing going on.
Yeah. They did the qualifying race for it, I believe, earlier this week.
Those really, usually,
it's not the biggest deal, but... Okay, so the Daytona 500 will kick off the full season of NASCAR, and they'll run February 20th, right a week after the Super Bowl. And while we understand the NFL awards and Hall of Fame and all of those announcements were just, I believe, 2 days ago? We will get to those in our next podcast when we'll kind of wrap up the entire NFL season.
Yes, all the football together wrapped in one nice little
it's not spread out over 2 episodes when it really could just be one. But yeah, talking the Daytona 500, we've got the odds-on favorite right now is Denny Hamlin.
All right, I recognize that name.
Mm-hmm.
Just recognize it. Don't know much about Hamlin.
Chase Elliott is a 10-1, as is Kyle Larson. I do recognize Chase Elliott. I believe he's the one that people Chase Elliott's the one that people like.
Yes, a lot of people
and
like Elliott.
Joey Logano's the one everyone hates. And Logano's got 12-1 odds, so he's also pretty highly rated in this regard.
Yeah, truth be told, Logano, he is really good, so...
Surprising high... The people that I'm looking at this, and I'm feeling kind of like that's higher than I would have thought about them. Bubba Wallace, 15-1.
That's weird. Usually, like, racers have their strong tracks. Like, it doesn't matter if you're, like, the best racer in the league. If you suck at a certain track, you're probably not going to do that well. And that's the reason why the Daytona 500 is actually considered, I think it's one of the harder ones. Or is it the Indianapolis? No, it's not the Indianapolis.
The Daytona 500 is a huge race. It's a super speedway, and that's like a very different style of race than the short tracks. So, like, your Talladegas, your Texases, your Daytona 500s, they're going to be long tracks where you're going to need a lot of quality turning. Well, not quality turning. You want the car to go fast on those ones, okay? It's all about getting as fast as you can legally get, because obviously they put limiter plates in the cars nowadays so that they don't actually go as fast as they can.
Well, those corners are so hard, and then all that debris actually comes up to the top part, so if you didn't know, if you went to the top part during the curve, you'll actually spin out, which is super dangerous when you're going 180 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think they go that fast on the curves, but... You learn a lot through NASCAR video games.
Yep. The shorter tracks, though, that's where the turning's more important. That's like your Indianapolis Brickyard 400s and your Bristols.
I've actually been to the Indianapolis. I actually have a baseball cap. I've been there. We looked around. You could actually take a bus. And I'm like, you're telling me a bus goes around those corners? Because those corners are pretty sharp because you're going so fast. All I imagined in my head was that they flip over. Little did I realize they kind of take the low side where the track is more... yeah, they don't go to the top side. It's kind of like the bus would tip over or something.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little just surprised, though, about Bubba Wallace's odds. But I guess he's got one career win, and he was runner-up a couple years ago at the Daytona 500, so...
I just know most of the people at my old workplace, but I don't cheer for him, but maybe it's just because they don't like him. Just because of the whole news thing that came up.
Well, it's just, I mean, for me, it's just that, like, he seems like he's a very average driver.
Yes, that too, because have you ever looked at, like, the lower list names of the 40? Like, there's, like, the top 20, everybody looks at those, and then anything below that 20 is, like... The best racers usually end up in that bottom 20 because they got in an accident. Yeah. Not because they're... Or the other 20, they're down there just because they're not good.
Yeah. Yep. If you look at Wallace's career, he's been running for 5 years now. He's got no pole positions, 12 top 10s, and 1 win. He won Pocono. He won Pocono in 2017.
Okay.
Which that track I hate. I hate that track.
Is that the one with the sharp curves?
Pocono is the one that's like the triangle.
Oh, that one. All right.
Yeah, I hate Pocono, and I hate. I don't even know if they still race on it. The Phoenix Speedway.
I'd have to look it up again.
And the one I know they don't race anymore. It's shaped kind of like a guitar. Yeah. I think it was called like Sears Point or something like that. That track, also awful. But that one's mostly because I hate the tracks that are all... I don't like the ones that aren't set up like regular tracks where it's a lot of turning and stuff, because I feel like that loses the whole point of NASCAR.
Is all the turning?
Yeah, NASCAR's not the truck series. NASCAR's not...
The joke is just another left turn.
F1 type of stuff. Like, NASCAR's about going fast, and those ones are more about technical driving. And while I get NASCAR's technical, I'm not taking away from NASCAR in that way, but I want to see them go fast more than I want to see them be technically sound.
It's actually funny that they don't even have speedometers in those vehicles.
Yeah.
They just... Which is funny because when they leave their pit stop, like the pit area, you have to go a certain speed to exit, and without a speedometer, it makes it harder. Every single player who leaves the pit, they're like, that's the hardest part, is because you have to know where your RPMs are to understand how fast you're going, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Why don't they have a speedometer, Don?
Probably because it reduces weight so they can get that little extra advantage. Because it's not required equipment or whatever. To kind of transition us a little closer towards the Olympics, we'll talk hockey here. The trade deadline's about a month out now, so teams kind of get into that, are you a buyer, are you a seller? Are you doing whatever?
What is their, what do they call for their final games? Like the Super Bowl, the World Series.
The Stanley Cup final.
The Stanley Cup final. When is that? As you can see, I know very little about hockey.
That's in, I believe, June.
I need to learn more about hockey because I love watching hockey. I just never got into it.
Yeah, it's in June.
Okay. But yeah, after the Super Bowl, looks like that's another sport we're going to be looking at a lot closer. Yeah. And
we're still going to say screw the NBA.
Yes, exactly. It's soccer.
It's bad.
Since it's more relevant to what we're looking at, do you know what's happening in the Olympics when it comes to hockey?
Yes. Well, I mean, not really, but I do know Team USA and Team Canada played. I believe yesterday. Yeah, they played yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Those two fun rivalry goes back. They've played many times, and Canada usually wins.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. The USA hasn't won gold in the Olympics. Goddamn. Since, I think, the Miracle on Ice team.
Well, when was that? 80s? 90s?
Yeah, I think that was 84.
Okay.
Or
I know they made a movie about it.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, we hadn't beaten... Team USA hadn't won it since 2010 against Team Canada. And they pulled it off.
Let's go! Woo! America!
Team USA.
You know what popped in my head?
USA.
You know how they say we get golds, and one time I did think about when we were watching the when I was watching the Olympics, I was like, dang, just think if they did like gold medal count for like each player who got the gold, and I just imagine like hockey winning, they just win the Olympics. That's what popped in my head.
Yeah, any of the team sports would just become way more worth your time
yes.
than the individuals. Yeah, I think usually they grade the winning, though, based on who wins the most golds, not who has the most medals, which is a little weird to me, but...
It makes sense, though.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they also rank it because recently I think there was somebody with more golds than the U.S., but the U.S. had more medals, so the U.S. were actually above them.
Yeah, that's not how Google's displaying the medal count right now.
That's how the Olympics NBC displayed it.
Okay.
So
because I was just saying that right now, as we're talking, Germany and Norway are tied with 8 gold medals apiece, but Norway has 17 total medals to Germany's 14, but Germany's listed above them.
I wonder who... Does it even matter? They're like, we won the Olympics. By whose standards?
By whose standard? Exactly. The USA, if you're curious out there, is currently sitting in 3.
They're in 3rd?
Yeah.
I thought, wow, that's a big change from what I saw earlier, where they were at 6th.
Yep. 5 golds, 5 silvers, and a bronze.
So definitely a change from earlier.
Yep. U.S., Netherlands, Sweden, all at 5 golds. Austria and China with 4 apiece. The ROC, aka Russia, with 3, and Italy and Japan have 2.
With the ROC with 1 possibly disputed.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about why?
Go ahead.
Alright, so I've gotten really into figure skating this coming week. It might actually be one of my favorite Olympic sports, crazy enough, because it made me realize why athletes love their sport and why we love watching them so much. I'm going on a little side thing right here, is what I learned from figure skating is athletes are great at their sport because it's not just their physical like prowess, but also their mindset. You see those figure skaters dancing and their face goes into like they don't care about the judges anymore. You can tell that they're just fully into their sport, that they fully love it. I showed you Nathan Chen's final performance. I don't know if you noticed his face, but after he made that final spin, his face changed from like almost nervousness to just bliss almost, where he knew he got it and he was just skating because he loved to skate. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, it was a beautiful performance.
So yeah, and I realize why athletes are just so inspiring to so many people is because they love their sport so much, not just because they're good at it, but because it is their passion. So looking at it that way, the reason why this is actually controversial, upsetting, and everything is because figure skater from the ROC, Kamila Valieva, she completed the very first women's figure skating quad Sakao, which just blew away all records. It was just so impressive. She attempted 3, completed 2, and she was like considered awe-inspiring. This happened for 4 days, just awe-inspiring for all people. Just like she's 15 years old, and she completed this, which is just inspiring to so many people. Which makes this next part just sad. Is she was caught with a illegal substance, well, tested, and okay, so this is what also makes things confusing. She was tested with an illegal substance. I don't remember the name of it, but it slows the heart rate. So when it comes to athletes, that means you get tired less, which means would she have been able to attempt 3 of those quads? I don't know. She still is an absolutely amazing figure skater at the age of 15, but would she have been able to achieve it? Here's a quick question for you. Is it fine that she did that, Don?
No.
Then why is it fine to do steroids in the MLB? Boom, check, and mate. Okay, I'm going to move on before you...
No, okay. Anyways, they've delayed the medal ceremony for those.
Yes.
After that.
And currently, she is still able to play.
Yes.
But...
Not the only controversy, though.
Yes, you can talk about that one in a bit. She is what?
It's fine. Keep going.
Let's see here. She was inspiring to all, which makes it even more upsetting that she did that.
Yes.
But she was tested in December. That was when the test was, and then they said the reason why the results came in so late was because of COVID.
They also do different testings on them, like as they discover new things. I mean, part of and plus, a country like Russia has already been very notorious for how they've cheated. I don't know if you know this, but when it was in Sochi back in 2014, they literally had like a hole in the wall, and they would take out samples and put clean samples in through that hole in the wall.
Oh my goodness.
There was actually a huge cover-up. If you want to know more about that story, go watch Icarus on Netflix. It's actually a phenomenal documentary that starts out as just a guy wanting to cheat at bicycling and ends with this whole global Russian conspiracy.
Oh my goodness.
It's pretty fantastic. But yeah, this Olympics has had more than its fair share of controversy so far.
What was the other controversy that...
Well, we've had a couple.
Okay.
We had in speed skating, we had a Chinese speed skater throw a puck, or slide a puck, underneath a Canadian speed skater's skates and knocked her out of the competition.
Which is just so wrong.
Yeah, and then best thing of all is the Chinese skater still finished 4th and didn't qualify for the next round anyways, so she just literally took out the number 2 skater for no reason.
I don't know why you cheat.
Yeah, anyways, no punishment for her, because, she's Chinese in China.
But also it's the Olympics committee, so that's the thing on the Olympics committee for not doing anything about that.
Yeah. I mean, when has anybody accused the IOC of being good?
That's fair. You got me there.
Snowboarding, there was some strong words by the commentators. I don't know if you heard this.
No.
The NBC commentators during the Winter Olympics were kind of irate over the judges' scoring of Japanese rider Ayumi Hirano. Hirano was the first person to ever accomplish one of the hardest tricks in the sport in the Olympics, and they ended up giving him a 91, which is a rather low score for something like that, and the commentator went off on TV about the judges and everything. Great time.
I believe that commentator is actually a former snowboarder himself.
Yes.
Because I've listened to him talk, and he's a very knowledgeable man in snowboarding.
And then, not so much a controversy, so much as a thing that popped up in the news decently well in Britain, was skeleton, which, by the way, terrifying sport. I know
they're. Do you know how fast they're going down the hill?
I have been horrified of that sport ever since I watched that one guy die doing it.
Because they go about 80 miles per hour down that slope. Head first
on a little piece of plastic. I mean, I'm sure it's made of some material that helps it faster, but like, come on. We watched a guy literally die doing this, like Vancouver Olympics, I think.
I can't remember.
He was Polish.
But yeah, it's insane how fast they go, and yeah, if you hit that wall.
But yeah, it's unbelievable. Britain was, quote, gutted about their performance in the skeleton this year. They had actually medaled in the event each of the last 5 Olympics.
Okay.
Starting all the way back in Salt Lake City, back in 2002.
All right.
And their team did terrible. Laura Diaz was 4 seconds off pace in her run. I mean, just she finished 19th, and Brogan Crawley didn't even qualify for the final area, coming in 22nd out of 25.
And these were some of the best players that Britain had for the past few Olympics.
Diaz was the bronze medalist back at Pyeongchang, and it was Crowley's first Olympics, but like, come on.
Did they crash into the side, or what happened?
They just were bad.
They a bad run.
Bad runs.
That's sad.
It's definitely got a lot of talks inside the UK, because this is actually one of the few winter sports that the UK invests pretty heavily in.
They're not being abusive, are they?
No, not that I know of. But it's very hard to come out of something like that and say, this is going to be great and whatnot. But it's hard. It's hard. Like Diaz, she's blamed the equipment for being subpar. And I don't know what to tell you. If it's the equipment, then Britain needs to reevaluate what they're doing. If it's the players, Britain still needs to reevaluate what they're doing. Britain's IOC has a lot of questions to be asked for what they're going to spend their money on for the Winter Olympics moving forward.
I feel like it could have been just a bad run. That happens too. Like, sometimes even the best make mistakes. Sometimes they're really bad mistakes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The future is interesting.
Certainly.
Talking about bad, you know what I hate most? Is like people, like, it'd be like if me and you, if an American athlete did bad in their run, and then me and you were like, oh, how can you do so badly in the sport against other professional athletes from across the world, and just attack them for being bad?
Yeah, but we do that. Do you not remember Simone Biles in the Summer Games last year?
We didn't do that.
We didn't do that, but she got criticized a ton in the media for that.
Mental health is very important, and I don't like when people did that.
Yeah.
Because she's so awe-inspiring to so many people. So it's fair. Mental health is important. Think about that. If somebody said, Don, you are the best person in the world, it's going to be impossible for you not to get first place in this. And we get all that pressure, and billions of people are watching you.
Yeah. Not
just like me watching you. It's billions of people watching you, expecting you to get first place. That's a lot of stress for anyone. So mental health is very important, and I don't mind her doing that. But it's the fact that so the Chinese figure skater fell. Okay, happens to the best of them. Happens to the best athletes. Like even the one who is getting criticized for doing illegal substances, still a great figure skater. She still fell when she did the first quad. Even though she's one of the best. But this Chinese skater fell, and China's like version of Twitter started attacking her, being like, "How could you fall?" All this other stuff, and it's like, what is wrong with you? Like every country does it. Like America does that, like you said with Simone Biles.
Yeah,
it's like why? It's
people can be terrible to people they don't actually see in person. People can be terrible, and I mean, it's just the way it is.
We're all humans, which is actually why I need to talk about these snowboarding events because Shaun White, did you see it?
His retirement?
His final half pipe.
Okay.
I
did not watch it.
So Shaun White, I watched the whole event. It was like insane for his final event. Yes.
I do have a nice little extra piece of baseball news for you.
Oh, what's that?
A couple of teams are requiring, not the MLB is not requiring, but several teams have sent an email out today, including the Chicago White Sox, mandating COVID booster vaccines for all of their minor league players before they report to spring training.
Is that also for major leaguers, or are they just testing it out on the minor leaguers?
It seems like they're just testing it for minor leaguers. It specifically only mentions minor league.
Wow, minor league is always the test grounds for everything.
Yes, it is.
Anyways, with Shaun White's final half pipe, so I watched the first event on Tuesday. Well, not at first, but it was the semifinals.
Yes.
And the finals were. He fell the first time, so he got, I think, like a 20, which is horrible. And he had 2 attempts. So he fell in his first attempt, and he was so nervous because this was his last Olympics. He just wanted to go out with a blaze of glory. His second one, his excitement. He just cheered when he finally landed that and went, like, he got in the top group to make it in. His finals, I watched that one too, and his first attempt went well, okay? It wasn't great, it wasn't award-winning, but it went well. He put himself in 4th place. Okay. His second attempt, he fell. He hit himself. He landed on the side, and thank goodness he didn't get injured. But when he fell, he just slowly went down, took his helmet off, and had a good... He took it like a champ. He wasn't upset that he didn't place. He didn't get all angry. He was just happy he got to do the final one and prove himself in the finals instead of ending in the semifinals.
Yeah.
And that moment, it was just heartwarming. And once he got to the bottom, every single snowboarder waited for him to give him a hug.
That's awesome.
This guy, how old is he? 35? 36?
He's old to be snowboarding.
He's the oldest person there. I think the next oldest person was like 25.
Yeah.
He inspired so many people to go into snowboarding.
Yeah.
And his joy from everyone around him, everybody cheering him on. A legend has left the Olympics, and I was happy to witness that final moments. So he inspired me just for just watching that, and I'm not even a snowboarder. Shaun White is insane, and also I love all the pictures because he started, 20 years ago, right? Or longer. Yeah, he started when he was 16, wasn't he?
Yeah, he started very young.
He was 20. Yeah, 20 years ago. No, not 20, but 20 years ago is when he started.
Oh my god. I went to look up Shaun White, and I definitely typed Snow White.
Nice.
He's in the snow, and his last name's White. Like, come on, man. He was just asking for that mistake.
He's such a cool guy. I watched a few interviews about him that he gave afterwards, and just he didn't seem even upset at all. He was just like, yes, I was able to go until I was 35, and I did all this, and he was happy for everything he did in his past.
Yeah. His first Winter Games was back in Torino in 2006.
Just insane. This guy has been going to the Winter Olympics since we were young.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing Olympic Games since we were 7. And, I mean, this is a guy who overcame a lot as a kid, having, 2 open heart surgeries before he was even able to walk.
He's just... inspiring Shaun
He
White.
is. He's a great guy. This better not age poorly.
I don't know. It sounds like he's a great guy. I've seen a bunch of stuff where he's just been kind to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shaun White.
That's funny.
What?
They're under his athletic achievements on Wikipedia. It's got a, he's the first and only person to win a summer and winter Dew Cup. Like the Mountain Dew game things they did. Yeah.
When it comes to other things, he probably...
Did you know he did pro skateboarding when he was young?
I could see that.
He actually, that's why he won a summer Dew Cup. He did skateboarding back in the day. There's actually a pretty famous video of him pretty young.
Any video of him with long hair is him pretty young.
Yeah, I did. He was teenager or even younger. And like him and one other guy were both doing the half pipe, and the older guy like fell on top of him, and White's out, and so what does he do? He picks up White when the thing you're supposed to do in that situation is leave them because they might have spinal damage.
All right.
And he immediately picked him up, and it's like, oh my god, could you have imagined? God, that would have been horrible.
Yes, I can see why Shaun White went to snowboarding.
Yeah, Shaun White and Bob Burnquist collide. That's who it was. Way back in the day. But, I mean, God, he's got to be like maybe 10 in that video.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for the snowboarding for women,
yes,
we got a gold.
Hey!
In half pipe. Yes, Chloe Kim. I just watched an interview of her last night, and she was like, they asked her, did the gold hit you yet? Do you actually feel like you won? She's like, not yet, but I feel as though as soon as I get home with my family, it will. Because I watched after she won, they, like, athletes are able to see their families back home cheering them on, and she, like, started crying. I was like, this is just so emotional. Just, like, I love it so much. Just, like, how much these athletes just love everything. Off from the half pipe, though, another person was able to achieve his dreams. Lindsay Jacobellis.
Sounds more right.
She won snowboarding as well.
Okay.
She got a gold. But Nick Baumgartner, if you look it up, anything over 2 days old in the recording of this podcast, he actually, a lot of news articles will say, Nick Baumgartner, sad. He says this is not the end, but he's going to go home without a medal. Mm-hmm. And he's 40 years old. He never won an Olympic medal, but he's actually a really good athlete. The American Olympic group was like, hey, we'll give you another chance because you're really good. You have all these skills. So you're going to be pairing up with Lindsay Jacobellis for the snowboard cross. So it's like a team event where they go across the track. The guy goes first, then the girl goes second, and they race other players, all right?
Yes.
So they went, and Nick Baumgartner got first in his section, okay? He gave her a few, like, not even half a second extra to, like, beat the other teams, okay?
Yeah.
And they showed a recording of him, like, cheering her on as she went, and he just needed a medal. So there's 4 people going. 2 of them went down. I was like, okay, he can at least get a silver, because I was just cheering him on because this guy just seemed like such an energetic, happy guy. And then she went, like, it was close, neck to neck. They were going, and then she got first. This guy, you could hear him on, like, the actual camera, just screaming, like, yes, let's go, and gave her a hug. She wasn't even able to stop in time when he was sprinting towards her, and gave her a big hug.
Nice.
In his very first gold, and his just pure joy. Like, even the other snowboarders around him knew how important this was to him. So when she crossed, the 3 competing guys next to him gave him a hug. Such a great moment. I love it when athletes are just, like, so sportsmanlike and cheering each other on as well. And that moment, I loved it so much. If you ever want to see that, you should look it up. I'm sure they have a video of him just like cheering with joy. It's just,
Yeah.
if you want to make yourself happy, just watch that video. It made me so happy and very happy with talking about it. Let's see here. We talked about Nathan Chen, right?
Yep.
Okay, good.
We talked Nathan Chen. We talked the ITC and the doping scandal in Russia, which, by the way, apparently the Russian blah blah blah, they suspended her, right?
Really?
Back then, and they lifted her suspension before the Olympics.
Interesting.
Yeah, so she's cheating.
That's sad. It's so sad that she is so good and she cheats.
Oh my god. I don't have a problem with baseball because, let's be honest, everyone's fucking cheating in baseball. I have a little more, and they get to play every year. My problem with cheating in Olympic sports is that they get to only compete every 4 years for this honor, and not all of them are cheating, especially the ones with good drug testing camp groups.
It's just more insane when it comes to something like
It's
figure
just,
skating, because one, sure, if you do better, you don't. It's all skill based practically.
Yeah.
Sure, you need like strength because you see how they like turn their bodies into 90-degree angles to do the skate. I sure couldn't do that. But
no, you don't think you could do that?
if I did that, Don, I would die. I would probably break my leg off trying to achieve that.
I think you got it. We'll go out to the ring tonight.
I would come back
you
with
can just copy what you saw on TV.
career-ending injury. Like some people do flips in that.
Career-ending injury. Yeah, I can't work my desk job anymore.
Exactly. I want to be able to walk there. So anyway, it's like skill-based where she probably would have been able to achieve that without cheating.
Yeah, probably.
Where it's different.
How's that different than Barry Bonds?
He probably could have achieved it without cheating. Yeah, because it's all skill-based, but also I don't like cheaters, which makes it even more. It'd be like tomorrow if we found out Usain Bolt was a cheater all along.
TBH, though, let's be fair. The top 20 fastest times that anyone has ever ran a 100-meter dash, they have all been doping except Usain Bolt. My bet is that he probably was, and we just never found out.
I would love to just think that he never was.
I mean, that's technically what you have to say, because he never got caught. So yeah, as far as we are aware, Bolt never cheated. But I would just caution that everybody else in the top 20 has cheated.
It's just more awe-inspiring when somebody achieves that with just pure, self-work. It's impressive. Other things going on in the Olympics, the biathlon, though. I watched the biathlon last night, and imagine like skiing for 7.5 kilometers. Not all of it is just skiing. It's like walking with skis on for 7.5 kilometers, and then you have to stop, shoot multiple targets while you're like after your athletic movement, and you tell me how good you shoot with yourself breathing so hard. And if you miss a shot, you have to go another 150 meters per each missed shot. That's insane.
Nice long amount of time to really dwell on the fact that you suck at shooting.
Yes. And you have to imagine these people are tired after 7.5 kilometers and they still have to shoot multiple targets. You see them breathing hard. Like when I watched it last night, you see them breathing hard for a little bit, and then they hold their breath, fire, and then you see them just breathe like twice, and then they fire again. You're like, oh my gosh, how do you achieve that? I can barely achieve talking normally after I walk up like a staircase. Come on.
Yeah, it's insane.
Everything. Remember last week we said like we felt this Olympics was political, but after I watched it this full week, it almost felt like it all went away. Where it just felt like athletes from across the world were getting together to play in a sport that they're passionate about, to show which one was best, and everything just felt like it was gone.
That's very...
Just me?
No,
is it just a me thing?
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
You don't feel that way?
I feel like it feels very yucky and gross.
Have you been watching it as much as I have?
No. To be fair, no, I have not.
Yeah, every night I have it on. You gotta watch those games.
You know, I watched some figure skating. I watched some speed skating. And then otherwise, I just seem to not have the TV on whatever sport they're watching.
It's like with the skiing, they go about 75 miles per hour down that hill.
Yep.
Oh, there's this one American girl, I forgot her name. She was actually considered to be a winning record. Like, she should have won. It was her best event. Mm-hmm. And she messed up in both of her events that she was considered best in. And you could see just how distraught she was when she failed. And that's fair.
Yeah.
This is your best thing you're at. And then mere seconds out of the gate, you mess up where you're out. That's so hard.
It always hurts when stuff like that happens.
There is one other name that I forgot. I need to pull up the picture, but she is U.S. born. Eileen Gu. Yes, she's U.S. born. I believe both of her parents are Chinese. I can't remember, but she's now playing for China. And get this, she broke a record. She was able to achieve a stunt because she's a freestyle skier. And she was able to break this record. Fun fact, the reason why she wanted to play for China was because China apparently doesn't have a lot of freestyle skiers. And so she wanted to inspire a bunch of children in China to go into that sport, which is pretty cool.
Sure.
I like the idea that athletes are doing it just to inspire.
It's probably that she could make more money.
I like the idea of happiness. But in her final stunt, she was able to just she went from second, okay? So she was going to get silver no matter what. And she needed an extra 20 points to beat the French. The French were in first, then it was her, and I can't remember who was in third. Was it Canada? I can't remember. And she does this trick, breaks a record, and gets in first, and just as soon as she landed, she started screaming because she realized what she just did. She just broke a record and did something that nobody else has ever done before. And yeah, that's pretty impressive. So the French person knew that the only way she could beat Eileen Gu is if she did the same exact trick but better.
Oh no.
She landed hard. She tried it, and she was going all the way around. She was going, if she would have landed that, she would have won. She didn't. She hit the ground hard. I actually got nervous that she hurt herself. That's how hard she hit the ground. And she still got a silver, but going from French to silver.
Going from French to silver?
Gold to silver.
Oh, I see.
French is first. Just kidding. I'm not French at all. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't talk, apparently.
Some biases.
Anyways, so
I'd like to report Brett to the Olympic Ethics Committee. He may be biased in his judging.
So yeah, she sadly lost that spot, and you could tell how much emotion she had because gold was in her hands.
Yeah. Then
just left, and she sat down. I don't think she took it as well as she probably could have, but she just sat there, and third place was there consoling her, and Eileen Gu was like, I can console her too. You could tell the French person did not want consoling from her.
Yeah.
I recommend watching the video of Eileen Gu landing that trick because it is impressive. Do not watch the aftermath because it's really hard to watch. Because it's like dreams snatched away from another person.
Yeah.
Sad. But that is about that. I watched a lot of records broken, a lot of happiness, a lot of cheering, a lot of listening to the national anthem play. It's overall, I have found these Olympics very interesting so far.
Okay.
Your thoughts about the Olympics?
I certainly don't think this is any... it's the Winter Olympics. I don't know. I just don't get as hotly tied into the Winter Olympics because just most of the sports just don't really appeal to me very much.
That's fair. Because Summer Olympics, there are a lot more sports that we can recognize, understand.
Yeah, you know how good someone is. When you when you see someone run fast, right? You're like, I understand that guy is fast. But when you see
even half pipe,
where it's a lot of that technical score comes in, it's a lot less easy to just put on and be like, yes.
That's kind of how I feel about gymnastics. Like, I don't understand gymnastics, so it's a lot harder for me to get interested in. So I've been trying to learn the sports since I've learned so much about figure skating. But it takes a lot to understand a certain sport.
For sure.
Especially some of these sports that we don't see every day. Oh, and here's another question for you. A lot of the sports, NBC is broadcasting the Olympics. How do you feel about them withholding a lot of the sports on Peacock, where a lot of people would not be able to watch the streaming service unless they paid?
They already, in their last Olympics they covered, they didn't have it on Peacock, but they had it on NBCSports.com, and you had to pay for that anyways.
Oh, did you? So it's just average, everyday thing?
Well, I mean, since they started doing that, yeah. Otherwise, before they did that, where you could pay to watch the other sports, they just simply didn't broadcast some of those sports. So, I mean, this is better than that alternative.
Than not broadcasting at all?
Yeah.
I kind of just wish I got more hockey.
Free content?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
But I guess you can always watch the highlights online. Mm-hmm. But that's all I have for the Olympics.
And if you really care about a sport, I bet you someone somewhere can help you out with that.
I see.
Yeah. Someone's got a Peacock subscription, right? Somebody in the world has a Peacock subscription.
Do they?
Maybe.
I don't know.
There's got to be an Office fan that's never heard of DVDs.
So much cheaper just to get the DVDs. Maybe they don't have a DVD or Blu-ray player at all.
It's so sad that that's a thing now. That disappoints me so much. I like owning my physical media. I don't like having digital media because then they truly can just take it away from you because you're only buying the right to use it. You're not buying the actual thing.
Yeah.
So I've always been a big fan of physical over digital for media consumption. That's why I download all of the Olympics onto my VHS tapes.
Download?
Videotape.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, do we have anything else we need to talk about on this episode?
I got everything for the Olympics down. You even inserted the new news of MLB and NASCAR and college basketball. Everything with football is coming next week.
Yeah, because we just don't want to split it up between the two episodes.
And yeah, the Super Bowl is tomorrow, so
yeah, go Rams.
Go Bengals.
Are you doing it? I like to imagine when you're saying that, you're doing it in like the New Orleans way, where it's like GAUX.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Joe Burrow played at LSU, and they've got a very Cajun thing down there, right? So people will say "Go Bengals," but they'll spell it GAUX.
Because that's what the French would spell.
Yeah.
Ye.
Yeah. That's just a thing for you.
Cool, I guess. I just imagine a big Harambe sticks up behind.
I mean, it's just nice because it's like no matter who wins the Super Bowl this year, I mean, who's going to be upset? These are, I mean, unless you're a fan of one of the teams.
Yes.
But like, it's going to be a great game. Great game, great teams. I have no bad things to say really about either of them.
Yep, me and Don are going to watch it together tomorrow. We're going to get food. We're going to have a grand old time, and
hope you do the same.
Yeah, find some friends, watch it together, even stream it with your friends. I think you can do that.
It's on NBC. Yeah, there's probably a streaming option.
Yeah, just watch it with your friends. Talk to your friends.
Actually, there is because I got a commercial telling me about it a couple days ago. That was like, watch the Super Bowl on NBC online.
Well, there you go.
Oh, okay. I'm not paying for that, but
sadly, this episode will come out after the Super Bowl.
Also, it's NBC, so it's like it's one of the big national broadcasting that's free anywhere in the country.
So the Super Bowl is on NBC.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen to the Olympics?
It's just not gonna play during the Super Bowl.
Wow. I see how it is. I want it to be on both screens. I want the Super Bowl split in half. I'm sure everybody in America would be happy about that.
Yeah, I'm sure they would love for it to be split in half for like what's a nonsense sport in the Winter Olympics? You know how the Summer Olympics has sports where you're like, I mean, it's a sport, but who's watching this?
I feel like I would say figure skating, but then again, I feel like a lot more Americans
like
actually. Yeah, I feel like a lot more people watch and enjoy figure skating than they're willing to admit.
I'm gonna look at the sports list here. There's got to be something silly.
I'd say not the ski jumping thing. That's actually sometimes fun to watch.
There's not really any garbage sports in the winter ones.
I'm just trying
because it's not a very big list of sports.
There's the one between the
curling's probably the jokiest looking sport because anyone can play it.
You think it'd be curling?
I think it would be curling.
Okay.
Obviously, curling does take skill. I've played curling before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Did you do good?
We won our game.
I feel like I'd be really bad at curling.
I liked sliding it, and I liked being a scratcher.
Aren't they called sweepers?
Sweepers, yes. I liked being a sweeper. I liked doing the throwing. Didn't really like the... Although, I don't know what I was doing wrong with the throwing, because... I don't know if it was just because I couldn't keep my balance on the ice or whatever, but every time I threw it, I would, like, fall over throwing it.
Well, have you ever seen how they throw it in the Olympics?
It's like...
Like, their whole body is, like, contorted, like, in a weird yoga pose.
Yeah.
And they launch it, and you're, like, more intrigued on their pose than anything.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
It is. I like it. I like the sport.
I feel like there are no nonsense sports. Like I said, the average person would probably say figure skating, but I feel like the average person enjoys figure skating more than they're willing to admit.
Mm-hmm.
But
figure skating's basically the gymnastics equivalent.
Yeah, I do feel as though it would be a very funny like comparison just to have figure skating on one half of the screen and the Super Bowl on the other, because it'd be people running into each other, and then there's like this elegant sport.
Yeah. I think if I had to pick, like, summer games, like, the one that's the least respected, probably badminton.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not a fan of badminton?
I like badminton, but, like, who's watching the Olympics for badminton?
Who's not? Come on, it's badminton.
Tell me what country won badminton last time.
I'm gonna assume England.
That's not even close. Not even the right continent.
Really? Is it Argentina?
No.
Wow. Wrong continent again?
Yeah.
Well, Japan.
No.
Well, that was my final guess.
Okay, well, China's won it every single time since 2000.
That's not fun, then. They won every single time?
They've won, so they've given out 39 golds in this sport. 20 of them have been won by China.
Lame.
8 of them by Indonesia, 6 by South Korea, so this is a very Asian-centric sport, I guess.
Apparently.
2 golds for Denmark, 1 for Japan, 1 for Chinese Taipei, Taiwan, and 1 for Spain. The U.S. has never medaled in it, even though every high schooler or middle schooler in America plays badminton. No one's done it competitively at the Olympic level. We haven't even, like, made the tables.
I can't wait for us to be able to talk about the Summer Olympics in 2 years' time and figure out all these tiny rules. I do enjoy fencing. Fencing's probably one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, fencing's good. But yeah, I would definitely say badminton. Badminton's got to be the most jokey Olympic sport. That's my hot take.
That's your hot take?
No one's watching badminton. Sorry, all 18 of you that watch badminton.
I get a strongly worded letter.
Yeah.
Well, I think that would probably put an end to this because we are going into the Summer Olympics and that's not going to happen for another 2 years. So
yeah, I think it's probably the last time we'll talk about the Olympics for now.
Yeah, because next episode will be full unless anything crazy happens because Shaun White's gone.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest thing for
It's
America.
Probably the biggest news. I mean, about the only thing you might hear about this is if the final medal counts.
Final medal counts. Probably whatever happens to Camilla with the ROC.
Sure,
because whatever comes from that may be controversial or not.
Yeah.
But until then.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. We'll talk Super Bowl, awards, Hall of Fames.
All good things
all
football.
The NFL. We'll give you any more updates on the lockout over in the baseball world. And we'll give you another update on Summit League basketball. Because, of course, our podcast will be recorded the day before the Daytona 500, so you'll have to wait another week on that.
Yes, and a little sprinkle of Olympics, but...
Yeah, probably a little sprinkle of Olympics.
But otherwise, that's going to be next week, so if you want to look forward to it.
Yeah, it should be a good time.
A good time indeed. Let's go Bengals!
I don't know what the Rams... What's the Rams, thing?
Squaw!
Vikings have Skol, Bengals have Houday, Rams chant. They have embraced the Houston Cougars Whose House chant.
Whose House chant? Oh, didn't we talk about that last time too?
Whose House? Coug's House. Okay, what do they say? Rams House? That doesn't even sound good.
Yeah, because didn't we see that last time where they copied that?
Well, the Bengals copied theirs too.
So we got copycats.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Did you see there was t-shirts?
No.
There are t-shirts in Detroit that they're selling that say the Detroit Rams, and it's got the Rams head on top of the Lions logo.
Yes, that's great.
Anyways, yeah, I don't think we have anything else left to say.
Nope. See you guys next week.